What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, 31 Days of Horror, Volume 9, Day 23, coming at you live and direct. Alright, guys. So, we're going to take it back to 2010 with a film directed by one of my dear friends who unfortunately passed away a few years back. You guys probably know him. His name is Ryan Nicholson. He was the owner of Plot Digger Films. And, he was responsible for doing Gutterballs and Hanger and Live Feed and so on and so on. But, we're going to talk about 2010's Star Vehicle. Yes, this one is also known as Bleeding Lady. This was the American Vicious Circle Films title release for it. I'm not really too sure why they called it Bleeding Lady. I never really asked Ryan about that. So, but anyways, yes, from 2010, we have Star Vehicle. This one, of course, is starring Dan Ellis, who starred in Gutterballs. He was in Hanger also. And composed by Steve Moore, a.k.a. Rozzi. Giovanni Rozzi. Giovanni Rozzi, who worked with, he actually composed music for the Redstone Tower, and he also worked with Joe Bigos quite often, man. He did, like, The Mind's Eye, he did VFW, Jimmy and Stiggs most recently, I did Bliss, he did the music for The Guest. So, if you're familiar with the soundtracks in those films, you pretty much know what you're kind of getting here with this movie. So, yeah, so the soundtrack's like that new waves kind of synth soundtrack, and it's pretty fucking awesome, so. But, yeah. Quick little synopsis on Star Vehicle here. Basically, Dan Ellis plays a character named Donald Cardini. And he basically is a driver for talent, for acting talent and stuff like that. He's a driver that takes the talent to and from their locations every single day and stuff like that. The thing is with Donald, he's like a self-proclaimed movie buff. And he really kind of wants to get into making movies himself and stuff like that. So one day he goes and picks up the talent for this new movie that they're shooting, and he realizes that one of the people that's in this film is like his favorite scream queen. Her name is Reversa Red. It kind of does sound like a stripper name, Reversa Red, and he takes a liking to her. So on the way to the location, he finds out that she actually has a stalker because she was going under a different type of name at the time, and he was wondering why and stuff. And then they kind of hit it off, and he kind of, once he finds out that she's got a stalker and stuff like that, he kind of takes upon himself to kind of protect her and stuff like that. And then things don't really go as planned, with the whole thing and stuff like that. So one day he decides to make a movie on his own terms. And I'll just keep the synopsis right there. All right, so my thoughts on Star Vehicle, aka The Bleeding Lady. So this is it's actually a really quick watch. I forgot how short this was. It's a rewatch for myself. I wanted to check this out again because I hadn't seen it in years and years. And I hadn't seen it since it got a Blu-ray release from Unearthed Films. So I really wanted to check it out in this transfer. And I will say right off the bat, it looks beautiful. The transfer is excellent on this film. It sounds awesome. Giovanni Rozzi's soundtrack is fucking amazing. It's banging. So if you know anything about Ryan Nicholson films, you pretty much know what you're going to get. They're lower budget. They're going to be over the top gore because he was a special effects artist with his wife Megan. And so you know what you're pretty much kind of getting yourself into. If you're a fan of Gutterballs, you know that it's going to be something like that. But yeah, so Bleeding Lady. First off, I like these type of movies where they're like a movie's being made inside a movie and stuff like that. I always really like those premises. But for me right here, Dan Ellis steals the show, man. He's our fucking loose cannon psychopath in this film. And they don't really hold back, with kind of convincing you otherwise. The film opens up with, he's driving talent somewhere. They're all making fun of him. They're calling him names. They're putting him down and shit like that. He just fucking pulls over, pulls out a machete, and slaughters like 4 people. And it's brutal. It's bloody. It's gory. It's pretty awesome and shit like that. So, Ryan doesn't pull any punches when he's, holding back, or he's not holding back anything when it comes to like the violence and gore right off the bat and stuff like that. So you pretty much know where this one's going to go. Like I said, shit doesn't go very smoothly for him, and he kind of loses his shit and decides to make a movie on his own. I kind of like that. But yeah, he really does steal the show, man. He's got a bunch of great one-liners in this film that are actually pretty funny, but he is by far the best actor in the film. He's usually the best actor in every film that he's really in. He spits his lines with so much conviction and truth. it's just amazing, man. I really like him, and I always wonder why Dan Ellis didn't actually do more movies, because he legitimately is a really good actor. And I was kind of looking at his filmography, and he hasn't really done a whole lot recently and stuff like that. But it's kind of a shame, like he was a good. He's a good actor. So, but yeah, this is a short film. It runs 70 minutes. It does have a bunch of kills, bunch of blood and gore and stuff like that, which you kind of expect to have. I would say the last 20 minutes of this movie is completely batshit insane. There's a bunch of twists and turns that happen within the film and stuff like that. And yeah, I kind of like where it goes. It's a really quick watch. It's entertaining, and it's a quick in and out. It really is just a quick in and out. But what holds my attention, man, is the score in this film. It just pounds, it bangs. It's like it just keeps you right involved in the film and stuff like that. Because there's not really, there's a lot of side characters within the film, because there's obviously the crew the crew that's making the film within the film and stuff like that. But there's really only 2 or 3 kind of main actors in it, which is Dan Ellis, the girl that plays Reversa Red, who I think she's pretty good. She's actually so beautiful in the film. And then the douchebag director, who is just such a dick in this film. It's actually quite funny to watch the guy. But all in all, looks beautiful. I think it's shot pretty well. The acting does vary a little bit, in my opinion. I think the guy that plays the director is actually probably one of the weakest in the film. He kind of overdoes it a little bit, to the point where, it's just really not that believable. When you're watching a Ryan Nicholson film, you always expect to see beautiful women and probably some exploitive scenes and stuff like that. Yes, there is nudity here. There's full frontal. And it's actually the way he does the nudity, the first nudity in the film, is actually quite funny, because, he's having a Dan Ellis' character is having a conversation with Reversa Red, and he's talking about how he respects her as a scream queen and stuff like that. And he was kind of taken back that she did full frontal, and goes to a clip of her movie. I thought that was really funny on how they did that, because you got to incorporate the nudity somehow. But yeah, that kind of made me laugh. So, but all in all, man, it's a very simple film. It's it's a quick in and out, like I said, 70 minutes, and I think it's actually pretty fun. The last 20 minutes are batshit insane. It's gritty, it's grimy, it's got some nasty kills and blood and gore and stuff like that's going on and shit like that. In fact, it just gets kind of ridiculous towards the end, but it's pretty fun. So if I had to rate this one, I'm going to give this one about a 7 out of 10. I have said before that I usually don't rate my friends' films and people that I know are in films and stuff like that. Ryan is gone right now, but Ryan always respected my reviews and stuff like that. I actually had this, I reviewed a live feed years ago for Ryan. And the very next day I was meeting up with him at HorrorCon, and he watched my review, and I was brutally honest. I just kind of shit on the movie a little bit, and he's like, you know what, you're completely right about the film. And then he told me why the film came out the way it did. He said there were so many production problems. There was so much that went wrong with it. They didn't get to shoot some things. Some things didn't work out effect-wise, and just, there was location issues. And so he basically had to put the film together for what he had, because they were out of money and stuff like that. And so, yeah. And, he just respected my review. He's like, yeah, totally. So I'm pretty sure that, God bless Ryan, that this was fun, man. I miss him every single day, because he was such a fun guy to talk to. But anyways, Star Vehicle from 2010. Check it out. Great Blu-ray release from Unearthed Films here. This actually has a bunch of features, man. It's got a commentary with Ryan Nicholson, I believe, and Dan Ellis. I think that's actually on this one too. Yeah, so that one's actually on this one also. And then it's got a bunch of features on here, which is pretty cool. It's got an alternate opening, which is pretty cool. It's got the Dead Nude Girls short film that's on here, which I actually do have a solo copy of that also, which is pretty cool that you can get that on a Blu-ray disc. So that's kind of a bonus right here. But yeah, so the back says 76 minutes, but the credits roll about 70 minutes. So, but yeah, so that's Star Vehicle from Ryan Nicholson, Unearthed Films release. Go check it out. If you have not seen that one, I recommend it. I think it's pretty fun. It's not Ryan's best work. I think Ryan's best work is probably Gutterballs, effects wise, and just the setting location of Gutterballs was always one of my favorite things. Hanger was just a bizarre film, but this one's kind of more a little bit straightforward and stuff. And it's one of those odd films too, where it's kind of shot pretty much all in the day. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, the fact that they even dropped names Reversa Red was born in Victoria, British Columbia, and you can see all the BC plates. I live right here, so right where this stuff was shot. But pretty cool stuff otherwise. Anyways, that's gonna do it. I'm blabbling. And I will be back tomorrow in day 24. And it's a film I've been wanting to check out for so long that it's just the title alone that just kind of gets me every single time. But that is on the shelf waiting to be reviewed. So I'll check you guys in day 24. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as usual, deuces.